Okay, just imagine this for a second. You've worked your whole life, you've achieved what everyone said was impossible, you finally buy your dream house, and you're about to move in. But on Thanksgiving Eve, you get the news. Your new home has been firebombed. This isn't some made-up story. This was the terrifying reality for two of the most brilliant people of the 20th century.
And those are the words of Dr. Anna Johnson Julian. And man, do they just cut right to the heart of it. The biggest battle she and her husband faced wasn't in a lab or in a university lecture hall. It was against a human wilderness, one that was fueled by pure bigotry.
So today, we're talking about a genuine power couple. Dr. Percy Julian, a chemist who literally changed modern medicine, and Dr. Anna Julian, a sociologist who broke incredible barriers. Their story, together, is this amazing mix of science, civil rights, and a partnership that really did change the world.
But before they became this incredible team, they were two separate individuals on parallel tracks, fighting the exact same fight. They were up against the crushing weight of systemic racism in early 20th century America, and frankly, their journeys just to get an education were nothing short of heroic.
I mean, just look at the obstacles on this slide. Percy Julian was the grandson of enslaved people. His hometown didn't even offer a high school education for Black students, so he had to take high school classes at night while attending college during the day, and he still graduated as valedictorian. Meanwhile, Anna Johnson had to completely move, to uproot her entire life just to find an integrated high school. The fact that both of them went on to earn PhDs is just mind-blowing. So their separate, difficult paths finally crossed in 1935, and this is where their story really kicks into high gear. You have this world-class chemist joining forces with this incredibly sharp sociologist. Their marriage marks the point where their brilliance just started to multiply, kicking off with a scientific breakthrough that was about to make Percy Julian famous. So that breakthrough revolved around this stuff, physostigmine. It's a compound that comes from something called the calabar bean. Now, why was it so important? Well, it was a key treatment for glaucoma, a disease that was causing about 15% of all blindness in the US at the time. The problem? Getting it from the bean was really hard and super expensive. The real challenge was to create it, to synthesize it in a lab.
And this wasn't just a quiet little experiment. This was a high-stakes scientific showdown. See, the most famous organic chemist in the world, Sir Robert Robinson, had published his research on how to make it. But Percy Julian looked at it and saw a mistake. So he did something incredibly gutsy. He publicly challenged the world's top expert. I mean, this could have completely destroyed his career. But instead, he and his colleagues spent 3 years on this massively complex 11-step process, and they nailed it. They proved Robinson wrong and made the drug accessible. It was a total triumph.
And here we are. This is the place where all that history was made. You're looking at Percy Julian right there in the lab at DePauw University, the very place he pulled off this world-changing discovery. Now, just 2 years after Percy's huge victory, Anna Johnson Julian went and made history of her own. In 1937, she became the very first African-American woman to earn a PhD in sociology. Just an absolutely incredible and monumental achievement. So, with these two incredible doctorates under their belts, the Julians moved to Chicago. And this is the next big chapter in their lives. This is where we see them take their genius and apply it not just to science, but to big industry, and to a really deep personal commitment to social justice. And Percy's next major breakthrough? It came from a total accident. You know how some of the greatest discoveries happen by mistake? Well, this is one of those. A giant tank of soybean oil where he worked had basically gone bad. Water had leaked in and ruined it. But Percy, being a genius, saw something in that spoiled gunk that would end up saving thousands of lives. So, from that sludge, he figured out a way to isolate soy protein on a massive scale. That protein became the key ingredient in a revolutionary firefighting foam called aerofoam. During World War II, the U.S. Navy started using this foam. They nicknamed it bean soup to put out these terrifying oil and gas fires on aircraft carriers and ships. It literally saved thousands and thousands of sailors' lives. So while Percy was changing the game in chemical manufacturing, Anna was busy changing society itself. Let's be really clear here. She was not just the wife of a famous scientist. She was an absolute powerhouse. She co-founded the Chicago chapter of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, putting her on the front lines fighting for justice. She held major leadership roles at the YWCA and the Urban League, served on university boards. She was a true civic leader, shaping the future of her city and state. But even with all their success, all their contributions to America, they still couldn't escape that human wilderness of bigotry that Anna talked about. In 1950, they bought a house in a wealthy, completely white suburb of Chicago called Oak Park. And this decision set the stage for the most dangerous battle of their entire lives. You know, even one of Oak Park's most famous residents, the author Ernest Hemingway, had described his own hometown with that chilling phrase. And the Julians? Well, they were about to find out just how narrow those minds could be. The hostilities started immediately. Vicious threats. The town even refused to turn on their water at first. But then, it got so much worse. First came the firebombing attempt, right before Thanksgiving. And then, a year later, someone drove by and threw dynamite at their house, while their young children were inside. Now, facing that kind of terror, most people would have left, and no one would have blamed them. But Percy Julian's response was just pure defiance. He said, and I quote, "The right of a people to live where they want to, without fear, is more important than science." And they didn't just say it, they lived it. Think about the courage that took. This wasn't just being stubborn, this was a strategic act of resistance, informed by Anna's deep understanding of the very social forces they were up against. They stayed. They raised their kids in that house, in that town, for the rest of their lives. They refused to be driven out. So what happened in the end? Well, in time, their incredible bravery and their undeniable brilliance finally started to earn them the recognition they deserved. Not just from scientists, but from the very same community that had tried so violently to reject them. The honors started to pile up. Percy was elected to the super prestigious National Academy of Sciences. And get this, the town of Oak Park, Illinois, named a junior high school after him. The Postal Service gave him his own stamp. His great synthesis was declared a National Historic Chemical Landmark. And, so importantly, museums began to tell the story of the doctors Percy and Anna Julian, finally recognizing their inseparable legacy. And this really says it all, doesn't it? You can't just talk about the science, and you can't just talk about the civil rights activism. With the Julians, the two were completely woven together. You simply cannot tell the story of one of them without telling the story of the other. The thing is, the Julians' story was almost completely lost. They were almost forgotten. And it just leaves you with this one big nagging question. How many other stories like theirs, how many other forgotten geniuses are still out there just waiting to be remembered?